Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. Eddie Hearn admits that Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Povetkin will not sell out. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Shout out to The Guardian. You'll be able to see it on screen. Link in the description so you can access the article and interview directly. And you see the headline. Headline says Anthony Joshua versus Alexander Povetkin will not sell out, admits Eddie Hearn. And then you see the bullet point, like giving you a preview of what's to come in the article. It says public more interested in Joshua fighting Wilder, says promoter. Hearn sounds warning over growth of pay-per-view bouts, right? The opening paragraph says Anthony Joshua's heavyweight fight with Alexander Povetkin next week will not be a sellout, with the promoter Eddie Hearn admitting he has found it more difficult to sell tickets than for the WBA, IBF, and WBO champions' previous title defenses at Wembley. Quote, "We have had to work a bit harder this time," said Eddie Hearn. "Normally when you go on sale with an Anthony Joshua fight, it just goes ping, but it has been slower than Vladimir Klitschko and Joseph Parker. The only thing that aggravates me is that anyone in boxing I have spoken to says it is a tough fight, whereas the man on the street goes to me, when's the Deontay Wilder fight? I say he has to get through Povetkin first, and they say he'll knock him out. Who knows? If Alexander Povetkin had to come over and try to nut Joshua at the press conference, we would have sold out immediately. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Instead, there are a lot of people saying, I will come in April for the Wilder fight." However, Hearn insists that he is expecting 80,000 at Wembley a week on Saturday, with much of the problem coming down to the difficulty in selling coach packages, which are required as part of the deal to hire the stadium. The only tickets that won't go are the 15,000 we could only sell as part of a coach package. That was part of the deal, he said. We've done 3,000 to 4,000, but people just don't want to come by coach. However, we will have over 80,000 in there. Meanwhile, Hearn has issued a warning that the growth in the number of fights that are held on pay-per-view will end in tears. He says, you can't say it's a good thing for boxing because it's not, he added. We are in a strong position now because our platform is solid and proven, but what will happen is other fighters will take risks on pay-per-view that won't work. If the Joshua Warrington versus Carl Frampton fight in December does 100,000 buys on pay-per-view, I'd be astonished. So how are the fighters going to make any money? Hating. Hearn also warned Sky that it could do more financially for boxing when it comes to non-pay-per-view fights. Sky are consistently backing boxing at a level we could do Amir Khan on Saturday. You guys could read the rest. That's the major key points of it. He says it's not going to sell out, and it's been more difficult than past fights. Listen, I told you guys we were coming. They said don't start a war unless I got my money right. Well, I got my money right. Now I want war. 21 gun salute. New media egos army stand up. I told you guys this moment is coming. No longer will boxing fans sit down when we need to stand up. You know, we got to stand for something. And in my honest opinion, my humble opinion, the reason why it's more difficult to sell Joshua Povetkin, it's not even the fact that the fight is a terrible fight, but it's the principle. It's the fact that we know what was on the platter. We know what could have been on the menu, and how Team Joshua decided to handle this fight. They put themselves in quite a pickle, quite a predicament, and the world sees it. You know, ducking 50 million and saying, oh, you know, I know we asked for the 50 mil, but why would you take 2 seconds out of a 10-minute interview? The world sees all this stuff. And as long as Anthony Joshua, Team Joshua, and Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn keep doing these interviews, then, you know, it is what it is. Until they admit and they're transparent and they're like, yo, we didn't want the Wilder fight. You know, we wanted to get Joshua some more training or whatever the situation. We wanted the WBA to call for the mandatory. But, you know, people need transparency in the answers, and that you can't fool the public so long. That's why. The UK has a great fan base. They're very loyal. They're very supportive. But even people in the UK are starting to see that what happened, you know? You could say, oh, just listen to what Eddie Hearn has said. He said, oh, nobody knows Deontay Wilder. Wilder goes to Northern Ireland, which is still considered UK, right? You know, I know parts of Ireland are no longer UK, right? But he was in Northern Ireland. He was in Belfast, and they showed him tremendous love. Somebody threw a drink on him too, but at the end of the day, I seen more people showing love. It was bananas. It went crazy, right? Went crazy. And even for somebody to throw a drink on him, right? It still shows they know who they are, because why would you just throw a drink? If you didn't know who he was, why did you throw a drink on him? You know, you didn't like him for whatever reason, so you knew who he was to throw a drink on him. And you knew security was there, so that's another reason why you would do that to a heavyweight. But that's beside the point. Like I said, man, it's been a difficult year, and the thing is, when you're not being transparent, it creates a web of deceit, a web of lies, and it's almost impossible to untangle yourself. Have you guys ever had like your phone and you have some wired earbuds, you know, some headphones, and they're in your gym bag or pocket, and you pull them out and it's all tangled up? And you have to unthread it and unloop it, and you know, it's all just wrapped around. And it takes a minute for you to untangle the headphones, the wired headphones. That's what happens when you do interview after interview and you're not being transparent, especially with new media around, because there's a magnifying glass. We're gonna pay attention to what is said, who said what, and you know, ultimately it has to make sense. That's it. We're not asking with Wilder Joshua. People aren't asking for something ridiculous. In fact, Joshua is saying he wants to fight. Joshua is saying, I don't want to fight Povetkin, or at least in May he was saying that. I have the interview. See, this is the thing. I'm not playing checkers. I'm playing chess. I have all of this stuff saved just because you may need it, and you know, it's the internet. So if it's not my personal collection, who knows? People can pay to have stuff taken down and removed. I've seen that. I've seen stuff where like a guy had a sparring session and it was online, and then everyone's seen it and was commenting, and then when that guy gets bigger, his name gets bigger, mysteriously you go back to try to find that sparring session, and all of a sudden you can't find it on YouTube, but you know you watched it on YouTube. So, you know, I have a whole archive, and I'm not going to tell you exactly what's in it, but I have an archive of all these interviews and different things, just in case, you know, just in case somebody wants to say that new media is not being transparent, they're not being truthful, I made something up. So, you know, at the end of the day, tell the truth. Tell the truth. There's a reason. There's a reason why this fight is having more difficulty selling. And again, it's not even the fact that it's the worst fight. You know, I would rather see Joshua Povetkin over Joshua Dominic Breazeale or Eric Molina, you know, two guys that Joshua has previously faced, and Charles Martin, you know, but I mean, that's a little different because he was a champion, but you guys get what I'm saying. But it's the timing. It's you're choosing this fight over the Wilder fight, which would solidify you as the end all be all at heavyweight, undisputed, unified champion with all the belts, and you're on record keep saying that you want the Wilder fight and you could knock him out and he's too small, I'll eat him, and all this extra stuff, and then you choose that opponent. So, you know, it's really karma, and that's why it's backfiring. That's why you have Joshua, he's kind of in tunnel vision and he hasn't really said much, and then Eddie Hearn is doing interviews like this saying it's more difficult to sell than the past fight. Yes, because Joshua's profile has never been affected like this, but the world's seen. And again, I told you guys for the longest, I don't know if you guys thought Ego's Army and New Media was a game, but I've been telling you, I said Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua's plan was backfiring because they, in their efforts to A-side their way through the heavyweight division, it rubbed people the wrong way, and it created a ripple in the pond. And then people like Al Heyman, Shelly Finkel, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Frank Warren, they're like, okay, we see what's happening. You know, Tyson Fury said it. He's like, man, we see what happens. Joshua, Eddie Hearn, they don't want you to fight. You know, the fight's not happening because of them. So, you know what? I'm going to stand up for UK British boxing because I'm not scared. I'm a champion. You know, once a champion, always a champion. I'm not afraid of Wilder, you know, so I could show you. I'll prove it, right? And now they created this Wilder Fury mega fight. Then you see Eddie Hearn scrambling because he knows that fight trumps his fight. And now the ticket sales are affected, right? You have this is like literally probably the worst chain of events that could have happened for Team Joshua, because they thought Wilder was going to be forced to fight maybe at best Luis Ortiz, at worst Dominic Breazeale. They thought it couldn't get no better than that. They thought that Wilder couldn't fight anyone with more merit or, you know, anything greater than that. And then they came up with this Wilder Fury stuff. And then immediately Eddie Hearn commented and said things in disbelief. Like, oh, I don't know what's taking so long. Where's the announcement? They don't have a date and a venue. Who cares? This is their business. Let them. They have plenty of time to announce that fight. And they're probably going to announce it during your fight, you know, or your fight week, Joshua Povetkin, which is very strategic. I would do the same thing, you know? So it's just been a history of lies and just mistruth and different things like that with Joshua. And I think that, honestly, I think that's why Joshua Povetkin will not sell out and is having the most trouble, because Joshua has never been in this position. That's why the fight's interesting now, because I want to see how he deals with all this mental anguish and outrage and stuff from the fans. I mean, you can't tell me that new media is not killing the game. He says the only thing that aggravates me is that anyone in boxing I've spoke to says that the Povetkin is a tough fight, whereas the man on the street goes to me, when's the Deontay Wilder fight? I say he has to get through Povetkin first, and they say he'll knock him out. Who knows, right? But this is the thing. Once again, listen to what I've always said, Ego's Army and New Media, and listen to Eddie Hearn. He's switching the play again. It's like, you remember Willie Beeman on Any Given Sunday? My name is Willie Beeman, who got the lady? I got a dreaming, you could feed me your dreaming. And he kept switching the plays, and people were getting mad. LL Cool J and stuff was getting mad. That's what Eddie Hearn's doing. Everything he says in interviews, he switches at some point, right? Before, he said in New York, nobody on IFL, he interviewed random people. He said, oh, hey, do you know who Deontay Wilder is? And they didn't know. And he's snickering. Yeah, see, no one knows who Wilder is, right? Oh, he has to fight Dillian White. Why? To build his UK buzz and profile. Now he's telling you something, once again, different. He's saying, whereas the man on the street goes to me and says, when's the Deontay Wilder fight? I thought they didn't know who Deontay Wilder was. I thought Deontay Wilder needed to raise his profile. So we have you on both coasts or both locations in New York trying to play that game and ask random people in New York. And you say, see, nobody in America knows Wilder, right? And then, even if you're talking about the UK, you said he needed to fight Dillian White because no one knows him in the UK. So you're trapped. You're trapped with that statement. Now you're saying, whereas the man on the street goes to me and says, when's the Wilder fight? Why would they be asking you a question like that if nobody knows who Wilder is? And why is your Povetkin fight, like Frank Warren said, struggling to sell if, like what Eddie Hearn said in that interview where he says no matter who Wilder fights next, his profile is going to stay the same or tank and go down. And he says Joshua, who he fights next, is going to skyrocket him. So why aren't you selling out? Why are more people sounding more jazzed about Wilder Fury? Again, these things cannot be true. You're saying people in the streets are asking you who Wilder is, a guy that they're not supposed to know who he is, according to you. And you said that Joshua's profile and his brand will skyrocket by beating Povetkin. So why are people so dismissive of Povetkin and asking you about the Wilder fight? Again, this makes no sense. You guys know it. Ego's Army, New Media. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.